It was the first night here. First night after I moved in. All the way from South London to Tideswell. From an estate to a village. A long journey.
I was born here, Lower Terrace Road. Dr. Brooks and Nurse Gold were on duty. Dr. Brooks asked my mum what they were calling me, and she said, Beverly. He said, oh no, don't call her that, lassie. Call her Gillian. So she did. So thank you, Dr. Brooks.
I was out having a walk round that night. It was dark. It must have been after 10. That's when I saw him, walking towards me. He was about 16 or 17, I reckon, around that anyway. Looked no different to the kids I knew from my estate back in London. No different at all. He had his hood up. He made me feel at home a little, in a strange way. He was about 40 yards away, walking right towards me. No one else around.
Of course it's all changed. I sometimes think my parents wouldn't recognise the place anymore. But then look at the world, look how that's changed. I suppose Tideswell is no different to anywhere else, really. The world's a very different place to when I was born.
There were shops all over the place. Families had put 2 ration books at the co-op and 2 at Hancock's and hoped that they'd do quite well between the 2.
I had a rule where I used to live. A rule that worked for keeping me out of trouble. Never make eye contact with strangers after dark. You never know, do you? You never know what could happen. So I kept my head down and I carried on walking. And then 10 yards from him, well, it must have been something like that, no more than 10 yards, I broke my rule. I looked up and our eyes locked.
Spring in the village was a time for hoops and whips and tops and marbles. We made whips out of string sticks and pieces of window cord, which all cut rings on the tops, and when they got going, they looked like spinning rainbows.
And do you know what he did? He looked right at me. And he said,
Tideswell may have changed, but I'm still proud to come from here and collect cream.
hello. He just said, hello. And walked right past me. Well, that told me a lot about the place. It made me smile. It made me like the place right from the off. Hello. And he'd never seen me before. Just a simple hello. But it spoke volumes.